Kung natatakot ka sa puppy mo, alam ko yung ibang mga puppy owners takot na sa aso nila dahil nga nangangagat. So why do puppies bite in the first place? When your puppy does it to you, they're human. It can start out first as just an expression of playfulness, and your puppy is just seeking attention from you. So it's also an expression of boredom. Often, it's really just a phase of puppyhood and young adulthood. And if you get lucky, the phase might come to an end within a few months with minimal management to survive that phase. So, kailangan lang ng occasional play and maybe just a fair amount of attention from you, and that's going to be enough for your puppy. But if you have a very hyperactive puppy that's not getting enough stimulation, then the behavior might intensify and then it becomes a real problem, especially pag nakakasakit na yung aso. So why does the biting get worse over time? Well, for one, the behavior is accidentally rewarded some of the time by us humans. For example, yung isang scenario, halimbawa, your puppy is there with you, he's resting while you're busy on your computer, and after a while, magigising na si puppy, maghahanap na siya ng something to do, he's getting bored, and so he starts to try and get your attention by play biting on you. And ikaw naman, saka mo lang napansin yung puppy mo, so that's the time when you pick up his toys or you pick up his leash, and then saka ka makikipaglaro at makikipag-interact sa puppy. That sequence of events, that informs the puppy that play biting actually works. Natututunan niya na if he play bites on you, that's gonna make you start playing with him. So he might do that again the next time. And if you repeat that sequence too many times in a row with the puppy, matututunan na talaga niya yan. And that's gonna be his go-to behavior for how to get attention. And another way that you might accidentally reward the behavior is if you're reprimanding a play biting puppy. You might be screaming at him, you might be pushing him to the floor, wrestling him to the floor, or maybe even napapalo mo yung puppy dahil sa sobrang asar sa kanya. Punishing the puppy, that might scare the puppy and it might suppress the biting for a little while. Pero for very hyper puppies, your response will probably look like play to that puppy. And that puppy might even be more challenged and driven to bite on you even further. And again, the biting is rewarded because it produced a desirable outcome for the puppy. The puppy saw that it produced a reaction from you that was very interesting and very exciting. So sa susunod, may isip niya yon at gagawin niya ulit yung play biting to provoke the same response from you. And the other reason why the biting behavior might intensify is because the puppy, as it grows up, it's getting faster, it's getting bigger and stronger, and the requirements for mental and physical stimulation also increase. And hindi natin nami-meet itong requirement na ito. That's especially true for mga hyper dogs. But before we talk about what you can do to address this problem, let's talk about the things I definitely do not recommend to address play biting. So, the first thing I don't want you to do with your puppy is to have their teeth clipped or filed. So, as ridiculous as that might sound, narinig ko na yan from a few clients na tinatanong nila if they should have that done to their puppy. And I do believe, unfortunately, that some time ago, meron ding mga vets na nag-offer ng ganyang solution to play biting. But really, I don't think that's proper. I think it would be a way for you to introduce dental issues, for potentially introducing infections even, and for subjecting your puppy to unnecessary pain and trauma. And anyway, at 5 months old naman, talaga naman magpapalit yung teeth ng puppy mo. So from the sharp puppy teeth that, really cause some damage and nasasabit at madaling makasakit sa'yo, those will fall out, and at 5 months old, they'll be replaced by the adult permanent teeth that are a little bit larger and blunter. So if your puppy does have at least a little bit of bite inhibition, baka mapapansin mo na at that time na hindi na kasing sakit yung mga play bites niya kasi hindi na masyadong sumasabit, Hindi na masyadong nakakatusok. So that might be something to look forward to. But teeth clipping, definitely a no-no. The second thing I don't want you to do is to buy another puppy. So some owners, puppy owners, might think that this is a solution because they think their puppy needs a playmate. So the way to address that is to actually buy another playmate or another puppy for their puppy to be entertained. Pero hindi ka naman nakakasigurado na yung puppy na makukuha mo ay hindi kasing hyper nung puppy that you currently have. So you might just be doubling the problem. Baka doble na yung magiging problema mo at mas lalo ka pang mahihirapan. The other thing, baka hindi sila magkasundo, tapos magkaroon pa ng away between the puppies, and now you have to deal with aggression. So really, a puppy shouldn't be purchased for that reason. Don't get another puppy just to entertain the other puppy or as a solution to play biting and hyperactivity. You first manage and train and understand the puppy that you have currently. And if you really want to get a second dog, you really think about it before you make that decision. The third thing I don't want you to do is to scream at your puppy or respond to your puppy in any energetic way. Kasi ang kailangan, whenever your puppy approaches you with high energy and play biting, you want to practice calming yourself and really being as boring and as uninteresting to your puppy para hindi natin mas lalong ma-stimulate yung kanyang play biting and hyper-arousal. I know that's hard kasi minsan masakit na yung pag kinakagat na tayo, pero later on, I'll introduce some solutions for how you're gonna be able to get away from your puppy as quickly and as calmly as possible. Tapos the fourth thing I don't want you to do is to punish your puppy. Punishment, it might suppress the behavior temporarily, pero for puppies that are very pain tolerant and very hyper, this could just look like play to them and mas lalo lang sila ma-arouse. If ever matakot yung puppy mo with that, it could build distrust between you and the puppy, and it's really not a good way for you to build a bond and build your relationship with your puppy. It could also cause an escalation to aggression. So, pwedeng maging aggressive yung puppy at hindi lang siya magple-play bite na, talagang magkakaroon na siya ng intention mag-defend ng sarili niya at mangagat. Tapos mas lalo pang delikado yan kung sakaling may mga bata kang kasama sa bahay. If you have kids in the house, they might copy your behavior of punishing the puppy using physical force. And baka mamaya, pag yung mga bata lang ang kasama ng aso, they might do that to the dog as well. But the dog might respond to your kids in a very aggressive way, which could result in a bite. So I really don't want you to use punishment, especially harsh physical punishment on your puppy to address the play biting. Instead of these, we're going to consider proactive means and systematic means for how to address this issue. So to stop your puppy from play biting, first of all, you're going to find a way to prevent your puppy from randomly coming up to you whenever he feels like it and then start play biting on you. So we can go back to that scenario where you have that puppy free in the room with you while you're working on something. We don't want your puppy to have an opportunity to just decide now he needs attention and so now he starts to play bite. So para maiwasan natin yung ganon, you're going to create a confinement area and your puppy is going to stay in that confinement area, especially when he's unsupervised and when he's resting. You're also going to create designated play areas and potty areas, and you're going to create a routine moving from one of these spaces to another. In some cases, if you don't have the space for creating a confinement area, you might think about, leashing or tethering your dog. That might work too. But you do have to consider that leashing or tethering might create some leash reactivity in your dog. And then also, pwede rin syempre namangat-ngat ng aso yung tali at makawala din siya. So, the best thing to do is whatever you choose to use, whether it's confinement or whether it's leashing or tethering your dog, you have to condition your puppy to accept these para kung sakaling ilagay mo siya sa situation na ganun, he'll easily calm down and settle down and he won't want to escape from that. For bigger and older puppies and for escape artists, medyo mas mahirap lang, pero kailangan talaga mahanapan natin ng solusyon yan, no? So what you could do with bigger puppies is that you might think about putting up really strong and secure barricades. You might put up a larger enclosure, or you might really puppy-proof an entire room para doon mo isi-secure yung puppy mo. But kailangan talaga because that's going to be the starting point for your puppy from where you're going to build his entire routine. Next, let's make sure that all of your puppy's needs are met. Hindi lang natin iiwan yung puppy in confinement for the rest of his life hanggang sa lumaki na siya. Unfortunately, sometimes this happens. Minsan kinukulong ng owner yung aso dahil naiinis na sila sa pangangagat ng puppy. Tapos, hindi na nila bibigyan ng oras pa, no? Your puppy gets stuck living his life out in a cage, minsan hanggang sa tumanda at hanggang sa mamatay. But that's not gonna be you. You're gonna make sure your puppy has regular supervised time outside of confinement until we can get to that point where confinement is only optional na lang. So, yung confinement is going to be used for resting and for providing food to the puppy. And after that, you're going to provide opportunities for the puppy to potty, which should also be under supervision, lalo na kung nagpa-potty training ka pa. Tapos yung isa mo pang kailangan gawin on a regular basis is to provide activities to your dog, especially for your very energetic dog. So that's going to provide mental and physical stimulation, which in general will help the puppy become calmer and more manageable. Siyempre, gusto mo rin yan gawin dahil yun na nga yung way para mag-bonding kayo ng aso mo. It's the way for you to establish your leadership role in your puppy's eyes, especially if he sees that you're the source of all the resources that he finds valuable, like going outside, taking walks, playing, and getting treats. That's really important for your developing relationship. And lastly, as important as meeting all those needs for your puppy's stimulation and enrichment, you want to make sure that you do all of these things routinely and that you are the one to initiate yung activities na gagawin ng puppy mo. So, ibig sabihin, routinely, that means you are going to really make time for your puppy on a regular basis. You're not just gonna do this one time, kung kailan may oras or kung kailan mo maisipan. Dapat it's really planned and structured. Tapos, yung mga activities na gagawin mo with your puppy, you have to be the one to initiate them. Huwag mo nang hintayin yung puppy mo na magwala while he's in confinement. Don't wait for him to start crying and barking for you. And so don't be afraid to wake your puppy from resting and to get him out of confinement and start interacting with him. Minsan kasi natatakot tayo na bakit pa natin gigisingin yung sleeping monster. Pero dapat that's how we should do it. We should be the one to initiate the activity, because if we do it the other way where the puppy is already barking and whining and crying inside of confinement, and then that's the time when we approach the puppy, then we're rewarding the wrong behavior. So now you're going to take your puppy out of confinement and guide him to a play area. And you want to make sure, especially for your play biter na puppy, you're going to make sure that area is contained. Bakit? Kasi yun yung way mo na pag nagsimulang magkagat yung puppy at medyo nangungulit na, you can easily and quickly and calmly exit that space, and you're sure that your puppy won't get into trouble even if you leave him in there, dahil that area should also be puppy-proofed. So if you don't have a specific play area for your puppy, pwede naman that you just keep your puppy on an indoor leash. And as soon as your puppy starts acting out a little bit and getting a little too hyper and starts to get nippy, pwede mo na siyang hawakan on the leash, and with some leash handling, you're gonna calm your puppy down and make sure he doesn't get at you while he's in that play biting mode. Kung natatakot ka sa puppy mo, alam ko yung ibang mga puppy owners takot na sa aso nila dahil nga nangangagat, then you can start with your puppy on a harness and on a tether. So nakatali siya somewhere para habang kung halimbawa naglalaro kayong dalawa tapos nagsimulang magkagat-kagat yung puppy or may intention na magkagat-kagat, you can easily step out of the range of the leash and just let your puppy calm down while he's in hyper arousal mode. Or if you have your puppy inside a pen, you can stay on the other side of that barrier para hindi ka naaabot if your puppy is trying to bite you. Pero sa simula lang naman yan, ano? After a while, if you're already within that routine of engaging your puppy regularly, after a while, I do expect na hindi na siya kasing kulit at mas manageable na rin siya at hindi mo na kailangan masyadong problemahin yung play biting. If your puppy is fairly manageable and if you're confident enough to do it, I would also introduce tug games. For instance, tugging on a tug toy or on a braided rope. Games like that are good for teaching the puppy appropriate ways to interact with their mouth and teeth. But it does take some skill to do the tugging correctly. So if you're not confident with that, wag mo na munang gawin. Now, maybe we'll schedule a consultation and then I can demonstrate to you how to do it. Instead, what you can do is you can engage your puppy with non-contact or minimal contact games, such as pwede mo siyang turuan ng fetch, or pwede mo siya engage with training games. So if you're familiar with clicker training, you could shape some behaviors which requires no contact at all between you and the puppy. And while you're at it, you can teach obedience through that and also teach tricks. So that's one way to interact with the puppy where you don't have to put hands on the puppy. Aside from that, you could do research games with the puppy, and you could also show him puzzle games and interactive toys. So once you start to get into that routine of regularly interacting and engaging your puppy, I would like for you to make it a goal na sana every day you have at least 3 sessions with your puppy, and each of those sessions is going to be 10 to 15 minutes long. And with that as a goal, I do expect with consistency that you'll see your puppy becoming calmer and more manageable, and you'll start to really enjoy spending time with your puppy. So it may take a lot of work and it may require some adjustments in your daily routine, but that's what you signed up for when you made the decision to get this puppy. So we're going to be responsible, right? Because you watched this entire video all the way to the end. And I know that you're committed and that you'll really do right by your puppy and make sure that he's going to be a well-mannered member of the family. And if you need more help with your puppy's training and if you want some ideas for what training activities you could keep your puppy busy with, you can schedule a consultation with me. The link is in the video description. And then, as I mentioned, one of the ways to successfully address play biting is to begin with some confinement training. That's why I suggest you watch this video wherein I talk about confinement conditioning in greater detail. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.